Welcome for another episode of the Modern Shakti Files with my beautiful co-host Leanne and our incredible special guest today, Maria Palomino, who is my teacher. Maria is my lovely, lovely teacher. We are so excited to have you on here with us. Maria is the lovely goddess that has trained me three or 4 years ago now when I started this journey of Kundalini activation, and we have been in touch ever since, and it's just been such a beautiful journey. And Maria has such powerful insights and stories to share about her own journey, and also training and teaching for many years. So I'm going to actually give you the opportunity to give us a little bit more of an insight on what is it that you have been up to lately, because we don't get to speak as often as we like. So I'm here for all the updates. Yeah. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciated Maya and Leanne for having me part of the Shakti Files. And yes, I'm very grateful that we have created a relationship, Maya. We've been to India together, and that's very powerful. And also to London, to Glastonbury, and a powerful equinox as well. So definitely we're doing this also today on a new moon of Cancer, which is the moon of all moons. It's coming back to the mother, is coming back home. And today I fly out to Turkey. I'm very anxious. I'm going to be in the land of Rumi. I'm going to be doing the goddess path. I'm going to the Mother Mary's house before flying into the south of France. So I've taken a break in the last, it's been 2.5 months, going into 3 now after leaving Bali. And it was a decision that I started seeing coming, just like I did when I left corporate. It was the same pattern that came through, and something new is feeling developed. And talking about coming back home, I'm in my mother's home today. And it's once you do your work after the Kundalini, the life force energy starts moving and clearing up the channels. Yes, there's so much that happens through that period, but truthfully, it's beyond, I feel like, what a lot of people see of the fascination and the moving and all the spiritual gifts that opened up. Truthfully, that for me has come secondary, because the real work to be done is to be in peace, with your soul family. And I think as part of our spiritual path, and I work with so many people, thousands of people, there's always something that we're struggling with, either a mother. And yes, as our Kundalini starts rising, that relationship starts getting better within us. We understand what the divine feminine is, the divine masculine, and taking, that ownership within us and that stand of the divine feminine and masculine, whether you're aware of it, that's when the Kundalini starts awakening. There are different stages. It's always evolving. Everything's always infinite. But it comes about coming back home. It comes back about simplicity. It's not about making them come to your path. It's about being there for them, being available, being present, listening to them. Once you gain a certain strength and frequency, you don't have to speak spirituality, because you know that just being there in your presence is what's transmitting. And this is when we come back to remember how to truly be a daughter, a mother, a sister, an aunt, which is very true for me. I've been spending a lot of time with my little nieces. And that is extremely powerful, because once you build your soul family community and start bringing it back to an actual community, and I do feel like I'm the hub with my family, but in a place where they're not coming to me now to dump anything or looking spiritual, because they know my stand very much. And I feel like that's where the path is leading, and this is why I didn't realize this is what the energy was asking me to do. I thought it was just going to be to start traveling. I just spent a whole month in Brazil. I just came back from there, spending time in the jungle with the Yawanawa, sitting rigorously with they call it uni, their ayahuasca, from down in the southern part of Brazil, which is actually in the border of Peru. That's where the ayahuasca is very, so it's next to the Shipibo, but very different traditions, which is very lovely. And it's a complete different level. I know a lot of people that are listening to this, probably you go to a lot of spirit festivals. They're all modern. For the majority, there are very few, can only name 2 that are more driven and focused to just the indigenous people. There's no ecstatic dad, there's no sound healing, there's none of that. It's only the wisdom of the ancestors from all around the world that are coming together. And it's been so beautiful to just come back and be able to come back home to myself. And like I said, I thought this path was going to lead me to Brazil and then go to Peru, because there's a business that I was looking to start, this sacred business. And it's like, nope, it's time to come back home. I already knew before, and it's all this confirmations, because I need to put order in my home first, because otherwise, what am I building? Truthfully.
Such a Cancer energy, just like you said, the Cancer energy.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I've been working home already with my family, but I'm going home to my ancient self, back to Turkey and the motherland, and working with the Rose lineage, and also with Rumi. I've seen myself as a Sufi in another past life as well. So I feel like I'm cultivating, remembering more than anything, a lot of the wisdom to come back and be able to hold space. And maybe I'm just happy doing podcasts right now. And I'll know what the energy would lead me to. I'm very gifted that, and this is what I teach, to know my calling, not to push, because it'll tell me what's the next step. And where I am, it's exactly where I need to be right now. I've been on the path because when you really start thinking about, the Kundalini is always moving, and it comes in different stages. If I just give an example, it's when we become teenagers. This is why when people, the teenage years, the body automatically starts awakening. This is why the little kids finally start talking up to their parent. It's not just that they're bigger, they're seeing the truth, but now the energy is like, it's helping them also create that balance with their parents. And if they're not able to do that, which obviously from our journey, the parents tend to dominate, and they still tend to dominate us till we die if we don't work that correctly. And it starts happening. The most noticeable one is when we're in our teens. The Kundalini starts awakening as little eruptions, specifically to the spiritual path. It's when I was looking for a church or some spiritual place for 2 years, when I was like 18 or 19, I think. And I went everywhere, since I live in Los Angeles, and there's all kinds of denominations. And I was already like very much loved, always been like meditating. And I was going to what we have here, which is called Lake Shrine. That's part of the Self-Realization Fellowship, which is founded by Paramahansa Yogananda, who is a self-realized master that came here from India. And one of my girlfriends 2 years later came from New York, and she said, hey, would you like to go to Lake Shrine? I was like, yes, I go there every Sunday, or, I'm there every week at least, or twice a week. And she said, yeah, she's like, let's go up to the service. And I was like, you know what? I've never gone up to the actual temple to receive service. Granted, I've been looking like crazy all over, and it was already there. But I'd never gone to service. The moment that I walked in, I knew I had come back home. I couldn't stop crying. And let me tell you that at this moment in time, I was very rebellious with the word church, God. It didn't resonate with me. And this place, it's church of all churches. God is like, the word God is everything. It's a non-denominational. It's about spirit. And I embraced it because what I felt and the spirit that moved through, and this was more of a blissful energy. So Kundalini moved very gracefully, and it lasted for at least 3 weeks to a month, where I'm just washing blood, meditating. But it was the shower of bliss that came through. So this is why for me, and obviously I have a it's part of my old lineage as well, with this specific lineage as well. So it was very beautiful, and this is why for me it's been very easy with non-duality, because I've done this in my past lives. And when it comes with the Self-Realization Fellowship, it's Kriya Yoga, but not the Kriya Yoga that they practice around Bali, and there's no movement at all. It's not a healing practice. It's sitting and meditating quietly, completely quietly. It's so beautiful, not moving at all. And the challenge is not to move. And no type of breath exercises either. They're, and it's also complete, like not having any intimacy or even masturbating at all. So I thought I was going to go deeper into it. But that's like the first one that really woke up to me. So my base is very strong with the Indian lineage, with Yogananda and Kriya Yoga. And then so this was very blissful. And then afterwards, my Kundalini started moving more. I did Kundalini yoga. I mean, I have so many different stories. And the Kundalini just started moving so beautiful. And I didn't realize that it's a lot through dance. And it was in Mount Shasta, which is the portal of the root chakra. The first light language that came through was American Indian. So very much connected with the American Indian lineage. And after that, I did ayahuasca after I had completed my Kundalini yoga training, actually. And it's so beautiful because a lot of the Kundalini yoga practitioners, because we all became facilitators, they were very much against plant medicine. And when I went and I came back and told them the work that I did, especially I did an extensive work of a whole week, and it's back to back. I went deep. One session I think would have left me like not good. It was something complete. The energy smart, like if you go for one day or for a week. For me, it was perfect. Of course, everything's always perfect. And after that, before what I told my Kundalini people when I came back, so I told them what I had experienced in that week with ayahuasca, and the way that the space was held would have been the equivalence of me doing Kundalini yoga for a whole year. And I'm talking about my experience, right? So then all of the girls went through various different ones. And after that, and doing more work, because ayahuasca, it's a lot of it, it's about, it shows you a lot, it teaches a lot, helps you remember a lot, it opens up like always, but then you have to do your job. The real work starts after, just the same thing, after a Kundalini activation session, after the retreat, the real work starts after. It's like me coming back home. Of course, there's going to be moments where I'm triggered because I'm home, back home with my mom. But it's like you got to go back and do your work. Otherwise, you're just escaping. It's not about that, because you're meant to be here. So it started happening, and this is where the Kundalini started really, it's more about what you hear, the more of the modern Kundalini talk. My throat chakra started opening, but it wasn't pretty. It was a wrench, it was a cry, and you can feel the pain, and it would just open up, and it had its own rhythm, it had its symphony, but it was like hell was coming, it's like I was creating that. So it was this cleanse that lasted 2 years, and I could feel it rise up. And, during that time, I knew when when full moons were coming in. I was very aware of the eclipses, because at night I couldn't sleep. I'd just be shaking the whole day. So when eclipses came, or like big conjunctions, I'd be in the water. I'd be ready. Especially when I was in Bali, it was ready. So I would go down into the ocean. I'm like, oh, it's coming. I'm already in the ocean. And I heard this, and I love this because I obviously listen to other people that have gone through this. And Matthias de Stefano, when he was young, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with, he's known for Gaia. He's been around much, much longer than that. And same thing, his mom, they had the calendar, they knew when conjunctions and everything. So they would take him out of school. They knew he could not be in school during those times because a lot of energy would move through him. So they knew not to. So it's nice to hear that as well. I'm like, okay, it's not just me. And during this time, even though I had Kundalini yoga people there, they didn't go through this. So I was alone at that time, and I loved it. I wouldn't choose it any other way, because that has been my biggest teacher. And it got one point where it got a little bit scary, because there was the riots that were happening here during LA, and my sister sucked up, and I was worried about it. And then she came, and I just felt all this energy, and my voice and of course I'm scaring her. But at that time, my nieces were also here, and they were very little. And they got really scared, like what's happened? Because once again, it's like I'm a little girl. All of a sudden, I'm being introduced to hell, and what, like a real terror movie. So this was coming out. So I didn't realize that all of this was a preparation because I'm a natural transmuter. So on December 12th of 2020, Matthias started the Yo Soy path, the I Am path, on August 4th of 2020. So he started inviting small groups. This one was only intimate. There's like only 24 of us. And on the second, because I went for the 12-12 portal, my birthday is on December 12th. I'm a 12-12 portal person. And when after the retreat ended, some people still lingered, and he invited people that were still around if they wanted to go into the pyramid, the Great Pyramid, to do a private session, because they were activating the 12 crystals that are now sitting in the 12 nodes of Earth, of the dodecahedron, so where the vertices are. So they're all sacred portals. So I got to touch all of them, I remember. So we were in here. We're on December 25th. Remember, the December 21st, first of all, is the solstice, and you have the solstice on the 21st. So then we go 3 days of rest. There's no time, no space. Then the 25th, that's why it's Christ. It's the morning. It's the rebirth, and of course, this is when we had to activate, and this was the day to do it. So there was only, I think, 12 of us that went in the pyramid with him, and he's channeling. And I've gone to many different channelers that are extremely also popular, but also other ones, but no one channels like Matthias when it comes to Egypt and in England when he's in those portals, because his energy comes really strong. And all of a sudden he was talking, and I can feel the energy come up my throat. So, oh my God. Yeah, I can hear I have the recording, but I haven't shared. So, and then he's channeling through, he's telling the story, and he's like, and let Mother Earth like release her rage. And my throat just went, and it lasted at least 3 minutes. But what comes to me, and this happens every time I go to Egypt, I get protected first. It's like this black shield comes through. So I don't see anything, but I can feel everything. And then this force comes in. So in that specific day, obviously your Kundalini has to come up. But what happened was I transmuted all the shit, it's the best way to put it, from Earth. Because this crystals are being activated to be placed on the 12 vertices of the dodecahedron of the Earth. And I was not necessarily scared, but I had a lot of questions afterwards. And, after it stopped, what was going through my head, because I'm completely there and I see what's happening. And you hear some child, like, you're just witnessing what's happening. It's just happening and like witnessing. And my mind was thinking, oh my God, everyone's going to be scared of me after this. No one's going to want to talk to me. That's what was going on in my head. Well, this chaos, rage, mystery, like everything's coming out, all this gunk from Earth. And even Matthias, and then what he does is after we come out of the pyramids, we always go into the temple of the pyramid. And then he asked, who's the one that released the scream? And I told him I was. He's like, thank you so much for doing that. And I was like, okay, you're welcome, but I do have a question. I go, why is this happening to me? I go, it's not the first time. I go, this one was at much greater level. Of course, he's like, well, duh. He's like, it's the Great Pyramid. I'm like, why do I have to do that? And that's what I told him. He said, I asked him, why do I have to do that? And he said, it's not that you have to, it's that you signed up for it. And I was like, okay, I get it. Because that's happened to me in Luxor, in certain places where all of a sudden I'm there. And I remember in Luxor, they were moving different new portals, or not new portals, new temples were being uncovered. And same thing happened at a smaller scale, but still really loud. People were outside, and the guys know that things happened. I appreciate that they didn't try to stop me. And I asked, like, why does it have to be a scream? Because some people's gifts are I have other gifts that are also quiet. They're quiet. And I remember before that specific incident in Luxor, before that happened, because I kept asking that question, like, why does it have to be so loud and scary? I remember, if you go to Luxor, there's a lake, and I was sitting down the stairs by myself, and I can hear the people talking, little kids screaming. And then they started showing me how all the sounds get engraved in the water, how everything gets engraved in the stones, and it holds the memory. And then I understood after that the reason why that screaming needs to be done, and that yelling or it needs to be expressed vocally. This is what we're saying. There's a different energies when you think it, when you write it, and another one when you vocalize it. And why it's important that that energy needs to be recorded vocally and then transmuted. And that's my role. And this is when the Kundalini starts rising and the channel just opens up. So those have been extremely mind-opening, but also it gives you strength and force to the visceral level of knowing your truth, of really understanding energy and asking other questions that open you up even more. But the path at the end of the day is humility. It's being humble. And I think we see this a lot with especially at the beginning. I feel like I'm more like laid back. I'm not really into what's happening with the communities, but a lot of the Kundalini sisters, the high priestess from before, whatever karmas they had before, they just found themselves again and they continue, right? Until they work it out again. It's just kind of like a continuation. So there's been a lot of power, ego, and struggles, but that's not the path. Because I'm Peruvian too. People know how to work with energy, Kundalinis. It's how you want to utilize it. How do you want to utilize it? So to me, and Maya knows this with my students, and the intention behind is to really, and I know when I feel like when I talk to people, the ones that are here ready to humble down. And I'm not saying to come kneel down to me or to a God or to entities, like recognizing that God is within you. So it's been a journey, and I know I have a lot to share, and downloads have been coming in of how things need to be done later on. It's just I'll know when it's time. I just feel very privileged, and everything, it's exactly whatever it is that you're supposed to truly be doing, you're going to be supported. And it's nice that I can focus on this fully and, having the support to be able to do all this traveling and visit the sacred places and be very calm about it. Yeah. And I took this opportunity because I really love Maya, and she's a dear sister. Yes. Like she helped me really understand Mary Magdalene, but the sweet side of Mary Magdalene. Like it was during that time when I went back to London where I got to discover the other side, because I was very like Mary Magdalene. The way that it comes through a lot is like being the fierce one, the fighter, and people tend to like portray her like so masculine. And then I got to meet the other side of her, and that was very beautiful.
Yeah, some beautiful experiences and journeys together, which is so fun to remember. Yeah. And always the crazy synchronicities, like everywhere where we ended up. We could have a whole other podcast about the travels and the stories that we were so wonderful. I really loved. There's so much to hear in what you have shared, of course. But something that really stood with me, which is something that we often repeat in this podcast as well, is about the integration, like really taking that time to bringing that information back into our everyday lives. And how do we actually do that? And I think it's such an interesting perspective to hear your thoughts on it as well, because Lian and I have often been talking about, and the reason why we started this podcast to begin with is because there are so many people who are suddenly have these experiences. Things just, energy just awakens in them. Their lives just change overnight. And so many of them are just what is happening. Just like you said, when it happened to you, these things weren't as common, but now they are becoming more and more frequent. However, it's still a little bit edgy, especially when you live in this so-called modern lifestyle, in our Western words. Like, how do you bring it back into everyday life? What do you do with all of that? And what do you see? What is the reason behind people going through this? And what is the most supportive path for them to embody these experiences?
So first and foremost, everyone's soul's blueprint is very different. Let's begin with that. So some souls are going to catch up quicker than others. What is true when the Kundalini awakens, for some people awakens fast, for some of them is gradually. It depends on the experience and the theme of their life path that they decided to have. the best way to integrate as you have this experience, it really is contemplating. If it's someone that just started, doesn't have a sport, but now there's podcasts about this. There's so many different people sharing their stories, and it's about really resonating what's true for them. I'm saying right now, hey, it's more about, comes down to humility, comes back to humbleness. Someone's going to listen to this and say, no, that's not for me. I'm loving this. I want to have more of this. Secretly, maybe they want this drag experience because they find it fascinating. Why is it important for this? Is because when the Kundalini awakens, is what I'm saying, when my voice opened up, why was that important? I was releasing so much from old lifetimes, so much grief, so much chaos. It cleaned me up. Gorgeous. So that's what happens. The last spontaneous Kundalini activation was for the equinox last year that I did. And we had about 13 girls, like the perfect 13 number, and for the divine feminine. And we wasn't in the private visit. We went early in the morning because we're staying right in front of the Isis temple. And we were inside the main room, and I told them, like, this area is very potent. So we're there first, and we started moving to the other chambers that are still inside the main area. And at that moment, I was just feeling so grateful, so much love that this retreat has started, that we're here with the Cosmic Mother. And it was this love that expanded my heart, because I just felt in the space of love. And then all of a sudden, once again, black shield comes through. It's like this protection that comes through. Because if it would have been my throat that actually released that yell, that screaming, that wrench, when I did that transmutation for Mother Earth, this would be shot. I would no longer be able to speak. I would have completely burned. And this is what you hear. And I've, like, in so many different, like, Kundalini burned my throat. It's because there's no, like, when you do it sacredly, this protection just comes through. So all of a sudden, everything is just during the day. Shield comes through, everything becomes black energy. I can hear everything that's going on. Once again, I become witness to what's happening, and it was so random. It was the heart, and this, and then this was necessary, and this was so many years after, my initial Kundalini awakenings were happening. So it comes back, and these are gifts. I was like, this is incredible. I just got this amazing cleanse. The thing was that, of course, that it's a public visit. There's people there that don't know what's happening. The guides that work there, they're trying to stop me, and like my students, I know me, they're like, it's okay, like, I'm fine. It doesn't sound pretty, but it was like this cleansing that I got. It's a gift. And our first instinct to the unknown is fear, especially when it sounds like, of sounds that we try to avoid and not hear, because we would just want to stay in that state of love and peace. But it's extremely, that's the wrong word, sorry. It is necessary for some of us, not for everyone, because not everyone goes through this. You have people that have decided to be born in India to parents that are spiritual, so their Kundalini starts opening, little by little by little, and they have this beautiful lineage behind them. They never go through that because they decided to live another path. What's the best way to integrate for each and one of them? It's to really reflect back, to contemplate, because the energy is always teaching you. So it doesn't matter if it's Kundalini activation, if it's plant medicine, if it's breath work, right? A lot of energy coming back, and it's giving everyone insight. And why it's life-changing, because it changes your perspective, because all of a sudden you see things are different. It's all mind. Like the universal laws, even though there's 7, we just have to break it down and simplify it for our brain to make logic, but it's one law, and everything is mind. So it's just understanding that everything is mind. So once you change that perspective, your whole life starts changing. Because once you change the perspective, once you change the programming, once you change the beliefs, your emotions, to those old patterns, beliefs are going to change. So you're going to vibrate differently, therefore different, and you're seeking different experiences. So maybe your partner doesn't fit your life anymore. And it's just the fact that we're so used to that attachment. And yes, your old life is crumbling, but it's making space for a new one to be born. And I think as we share this story, seeing how wonderful these rebirths are, the more that you can die and be rebirthed, the more you're ascending. So it's bringing it up from a place of lightness, like lighten up. and then being supportive. This is why it's so nice to be held by people that have gone through this. I do not so many for me, but I do, and because I've heard all this that people say, oh my God, it's scary, this could happen. None of this stuff, has ever happened when I've held space. And I'm just being truthful. You can talk to anyone facilitating people, nothing wrong has ever happened. And the one that I like very much is Pi, who is the real originator of Kundalini activation. Same thing. They asked him the same thing, like nothing. When you are holding space from a place, it really should be the channel. A channel means you get out of the mind, and all of a sudden it's that higher intelligence that comes through. You become that channel of source. Then everything's taken care of when you're vibrating from the highest divine. So as you're receiving activations, as you're doing plant medicine, breath, or whatever you may be doing, it's important to either to journal, to spend time by yourself, to reflect. Yes, it's nice to be in communities. It's nice to be supported, but it's also other people's. Everyone is in their own path. Coming back to yourself. See when it's time to go up. Coming back to yourself. See when it's time to go up. And reading that very much, which is very important. And you will become sensitive because your auric field is changing, it's being activated. So things that didn't bother you before are going to bother you now till you gain strength again. It's just like a muscle. Because I always bring back the example of Ascended Master Jesus Christ. Do you think he'd be like, oh, I can't go to the bar, I can't go to that ecstatic bar because low energy, like it's too much. Like their auric field is so strengthened, so love, they can walk in, and they're in everyone, but they have a different field, and we all have the capacity to do that as well. This is why as your auric field matures, you're able to now come to and have interaction, especially with your family. Things that you found triggering before no longer trigger you, and usually that's not true. It's usually it triggers you less, and you respond different. But if you didn't respond differently, it's probably lighter, and you caught on quicker, because everything's a reflection of you. Nothing's gonna change, and don't expect them to change. Do not expect it. I love it. It's like, nope. This is where the suffering is. This is where the suffering is. It's that suffering, and that's where the inner child healing comes through. It's the little boy, the little girl in you that wants your mom to be exactly how she wants you to be. Like my little girl wanted my mom to say the exact words in a specific tone. It's like, who's the controlling one here and manipulative? Because you see little kids, they're extremely controlling, manipulative, and very sharp, like to get what they want. So it's that side of us, and be like, okay, now you gotta help that little child and be like, let it go, let it go. And I truly believe, and it has been my path, and this is also how I seek other teachers. I do a lot of my own as well. Even now, my next trip to Turkey is to find teachers that truly have a higher frequency, that have walked the path, that have integrated. That's the only way you're going to move up. And this is no secret. It's the same thing. We say, like, you want to become a millionaire? Go hang out with millionaires. You want to be a billionaire? Go hang out with billionaires. It's a frequency. So everyone, once again, it's an old soul. So as their Kundalini is awakening, they're going to be attracted to whatever their energy matches. There's nothing to worry about. It's just another evolution that's happening. And yes, you see, because you're like, oh no, they shouldn't be doing that. It's like, that's how they're gonna learn. We're all learning. And sometimes we learn more from those places where you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have come here. But in reality, that's exactly where you need it to be, to maybe know that this is not your path, or you get inspired, create your own retreat and your own training like I did. So, and this is why, just live and let others live. So I think it's not about putting that fear, like, oh my God, like, no, it's positive. It's talking about it in a positive light, because it is. It's something so beautiful, so positive. As the frequency and the energy of the earth that is rising, people are awakening, and it's happening in different ways. Coming back here to celebrate Poland and just being on the day-to-day, no one is experiencing this Kundalini activation. I see people that have gone through divorces, their knees are being torn up, all of a sudden, like, oh my God, I get MRI because they have a tumor literally on my third eye and the pituitary gland, but not interested in this. They want a counselor, and what they need more is just someone that's there, that's supportive, and that's going to listen to them, feeling that they're being loved. So that's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes it's like really creating those impact points. Like, sometimes going back home, it's like, where can I really serve? Where am I needed? Like, and not only, but it's you. You're helping you out too, because if that's not solid, what are you really teaching? But the path is, first you got to get out, because you need that bird's eye view. You need to experience something different. This is the only way you're going to change. When you change, the rest is going to change. And this is why it's important. Sometimes we go out to different spiritual communities and everything. And maybe for some people, once we're on the path, it's not for them to come back. That's fine. But I feel like for many of us, especially right now, that new moon and Cancer, of course, we signed up for a soul family. And, sometimes our parents have passed away. But that energy, that's why I think it's funny, like, because just your parents, that energetic core, whatever it may be, when there's tension, when they pass away, it's still there. We know this from so many people. My parents are alive. And I'm like, God, I'm like, this is such a gift that I get to work directly with my mom and my sister and my nieces and cherish that, because you just never know what could happen tomorrow. It has nothing to do with age. It's just life. And this is allowing you to keep present. And the gift is, it really is present, just being here, enjoying, because we build from right now. This is the only thing that exists. Time that it's always the present. Right? We go too much into the future, we go back too much into the past, and that's when we all of a sudden we start having like conflict. We start dwelling, and it's coming being here, and the secret for that is being grateful for whatever may be happening. This is nice to have supportive people around, if possible, to help you see it from a different light, and just know everything's gonna be okay. The rainbow always comes out after a storm. The daylight always comes. But yeah, it can be scary during those moments. But we're going to take it from, this is positive, like even bringing about and talking about it, so that when people start hearing this type of podcast, it's coming from a light, like a high frequency. It's good. That's why as facilitator, you see so many people coming out, and I'm like, yes, internally, I'm like, great. But I know right now they need healing. They need to know it's okay. But I'm like, inside, I'm like, okay, good. Because I've gone through it. So I know, and it's, for some people, it's a lot of rage that's coming out, and it can last a year, 2 years. When it gets to the point where the Kundalini doesn't have to move, like it does its job. It'll come when it needs to come. It's so intelligent. Like like I was feeling it right before coming down. Like, oh, I was going to do a podcast. Here it comes. But it's beyond Kundalini. It's beyond Kundalini at that point, because it helps you open the channel. So all of a sudden, the divine energy. I was like, okay, let's get ready. Like you become more sensitive. It's so intelligent. It's incredibly intelligent. So yeah, we all came here to serve different roles. So integration really is, even for your own, is acceptance of where everyone is. It really is, because the more in peace you are, the more calm you are, you're going to bring that to them. Not going in like, oh my God, what's happening? Like, oh, this isn't good. Like, okay, it's like, all right. I walk in, I'm like, great. I love it. Hell going through here.
I often experience big expressions of what I'd call, like, it's almost like death. It feels like death in my body. And then a memory or intelligence will come through as I go into it, for me to learn and for me to know about and for me to teach. And then it just moves through the system and then it's gone. But in them moments, it's big. It feels big. It feels intense. It feels like I couldn't possibly process anything more. And then I'm like, right, come on, let's move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's there's different spurs that come through. Ultimately, we want the energy to run through that flow. It's up and down, not just up, of course. And that's because there's something there, right, that is trying to unblock in your heart. It's something there. It's an invitation. So integration would be like, okay, let's focus on the heart chakra. What's there? What's it really telling you? When you start asking those questions, your body's telling you, it is releasing every time you're feeling it. It's like really integrating with that, and integration, like with everything, it's like, okay, so I'm holding this grudge. How do I become kinder to it? And there's different levels that you can take it. You can even put it in financial perspective. There's different risk levels. You want to play it safe? Be like, okay, I'm only going to write a letter, but I don't have to mail it out, right? Playing it safe. Less gains, right? So it's like different. Or you can say, okay, I'm actually going to give them a call, tell them how I feel, or just give them a call to that person, whatever it is, if they're still alive, and just checking up. Or if you remember that maybe there's something that you did, right? And this is the part that we don't want to see, because a lot of people come to this like, look at this. It's like the real juice is in seeing where you committed your faults and owning up to them. That's the real juice. And that's what I'm saying, like now taking those different risks, like if you can call it, right? How do I want to invest in this more? I'm going to call them. Oh, I'm just going to call to say hello, like I care for them. But now I'm going to call and also apologize, admitting to this, right? And there's different setups of how you can harmonize at the beginning. That's something else. Or even more, if you want to go and it's also up to the other person, but you have to feel it out. That's the integration part. It's because what tends to happen is people feel this beautiful energy, it takes them to the light. And for most of us, we're meant to go up and we're meant to go down. There's truthfully the biggest teachers for me has been every time I've gone to hell. I didn't even think I was going to come back. I'm like, oh my God, Maria, we're not coming back. This is it. There's been so many times where I'm like, this is it. I'm not coming back. I killed myself. And I'm hell, I'm creating everything. And it's so hard for people to sometimes, because that's what I love about talking to not just people that are in this spirituality world, what we call spirituality, because everything's spiritual. There's nothing that isn't spiritual. Every human being is spiritual. But people that are not into this spiritual conversations, as we call it, they just want to stick to the light. They're very frightened and they don't understand this at all. And that's okay. So say like we're all experiencing it different. So I would invite you to really go in there like, what is it that you're...
Yeah, absolutely. So beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much. So I'm 100% going to listen to this once we upload it one more time, because there is so many golden nuggets in this whole conversation, and it's such a beautiful transmission. So we're so grateful to have you here and share your wisdom and your experience with us and our listeners as well. I'm also conscious that I know you mentioned you had a place to be at a certain time today. So also taking the opportunity to make sure, so that you don't miss your flight. But we are so grateful that you came and you joined us today and you took your time. I know it's super early for you and you're catching a flight and you're still here with us and sharing and just being so, open with your wisdom. So we're really grateful. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Yeah, thank you, darling.
Thank you. Love you.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you.